Oh god, here we go again. After the shitstorm of movies Hollywood has thrown at us over the last few years, it is really hard to get excited about yet another sequel. This time to the well-known Fern Gully franchise. Oh, sorry, I meant Avatar. The Avatar franchise, not Fern Gully. I can't imagine why I got those two confused. I mean, it isn't like they have almost the exact same story, the exact same message, with just a few minor deviations, or anything like that.
I can see it's a miracle!
But anyway, back to the Fern Gully franchise. No, there I go again. I mean the Avatar franchise. Though franchise might be the wrong word, since there's still only been one installment in this long-promised series about blue people running around the woods with bows and arrows while trying to fend off the advances of the evil humans who want to steal all their natural resources, and more specifically a resource so unobtainable that they named it, unobtainium.
Catches on quick, doesn't it?
A material so hard to get hold of that the only way to get it is to destroy everything that the native culture hold dear, and to kill them all when they object. And then and only then is it possible for everyone to live peacefully together. But then the blue people banded together and kicked the humans off their world with the help of the local wildlife. Of course, they probably thought the humans had learned their lesson and would stay gone. But humans are like cockroaches, and even when they appear to have gone, if you turn the lights on suddenly, you see them skittering for the skirting boards.
Where?
And that is the case for Avatar 2, The Way of Water, which is finally with us after its announcement 12 years ago. 12 years! I know he doesn't like to rush, but bloody hell, Cameron. If you'd waited any longer, half your audience would be dead from old age. And I am only partially joking, because I watched the first movie with my dad and my granddad. My granddad's been dead now for 7 years. When I realised this movie was coming out, I had to remind myself of what Fern Gully was all about, Avatar, and how it ended in the first place, since I haven't thought about this movie in 13 years. And as I remember, my main thought was, oh, so it's a semi-live action Fern Gully.
This territory looks kind of familiar.
Well, this time James Cameron has pulled out all the stops, and by that I mean he's increased the runtime from the original movie's 2 hours 42 minutes to a staggering 3 hours and 12 minutes. It is now almost as long as my average night's sleep. It is so long that I have managed to drive from the south of England to the Peak District in less time. It is on a par with the Lord of the Rings movies, and those movies actually have an amazing story to tell. Whereas Avatar The Way of Water has a very simple story to tell. The original Avatar movie was a fairly complex story about how a twin has to fill in for his dead brother because the same genetic code is required, and in filling in for his brother, he learns to appreciate a different way of life. He falls in love with a girl of a different species. He finds himself having to choose between his own species and another. He has to fight for the survival of his new family. He has to weigh up what really matters and what is morally right in this world, and then put his life on the line and fight for what he believes in, and kick the humans off Pandora. And anchoring all of this sapient drama is an ecological message about looking after the world and not destroying it for the sake of money and progress.
Thank you for caring.
Though why James Cameron chose to make a whole feature-length blockbuster movie when he could just have thrown soup over a Van Gogh painting or glued himself to the floor of a luxury car showroom like these upstanding valued members of society, I guess we'll just never know. But before I get started, please consider subscribing, as that would really help me out, and if you like this content, give it a like. Okay, on with the vid. The Way of Water makes the powerful creative decision to forgo all that mumbo-jumbo save the world, humans are not all bad, we can all live together stuff, and instead decides to make an action movie. But I hear you ask, what about the whole exploring the Navi civilization that Jake Sully is now the leader of, and discovering his new species and making a family with his life Nefertiti? There's some sort of titty in it, whatever it was. Well, do not fear, because in a movie that is over 3 hours long, James Cameron devotes a whole 3 minutes or so to answering those very questions. And the answer is that, yes, Jake now has a family, 2 sons, a daughter, an adopted child who is the daughter of Sigourney Weaver's Avatar from the first movie, who we find being kept alive-ish in some sort of isolation chamber thing, and who seems to have had some sort of mysterious virgin birth. Either that or she was working on more than just science in the first movie. Nudge nudge, wink wink. Sigourney Weaver's daughter seems to have some sort of extra spiritual connection to Pandora, kind of like a hippie, but without the flower shirts and flares. And I'm sure that this will not be a major part of the story at any point. Foreshadowing. Jake is also apparently looking after Spider, the late Colonel Quaritch's son. And just as Sully is enjoying his fatherhood, the evil humans return. And in one of the most over-the-top, ridiculous, look how horrible and destructive we are moments I've ever seen, the humans land in spaceships that seem to be using the power of erupting volcanoes to land on the planet, destroying and burning everything within the local area. It is just bonkers and a good example of how humans are going to be represented in this new chapter of Pandora vs. the Humans. On the spaceships are some new avatars, but these are avatars with a difference. They are in fact genetic copies of the Na'vi, but with the memories of dead Marines, including Colonel Miles Quaritch, who has been tasked with killing Jake Sully and ending the Na'vi resistance, which we learn has been ongoing since the end of the previous movie. We are informed by the new general, a woman so badass that we are introduced to her while she is having a kickboxing session using some sort of mech that gives her a similar size to the Na'vi, that apparently unobtainium, which was so important to the first movie that they gave it a really stupid name, is now no longer of interest to the humans. Instead, the Earth is now dying, and so Pandora is to become the new Earth, the new home for humans. But before people can take over wholesale, they need to tame the natives and stop Jake Sully's resistance and attacks on human infrastructure. Quaritch is very happy to be getting a chance for vengeance against Sully, and also to discover what happened to his son Spider, who even though he is technically no longer his father, he cares for on an instinctive level. The movie begins and Quaritch has an encounter with Sully's kids and tries to take them hostage. But Jake comes to the rescue, not before Quaritch captures Spider and tries to use him to gather information on where Jake Sully and his family are, while also trying to bond with his son. On learning that Quaritch is back and out for revenge, Jake becomes very worried about his family and willing to do anything to protect them, though not the Na'vi anymore since he has what he wants, which was Nefertiti, something, or whatever her name was. He decides that his best course of action is to run away and abandon the Na'vi people. So Jake tells the Na'vi that, well, not to put too fine a point on it, he's off because he needs to save his family, and that will keep the rest of the tribe safe because Quaritch is looking specifically for him. Which makes no sense because Jake has been using his tribe to continue an insurgency against the humans, stealing equipment, destroying infrastructure, that sort of thing. It is what his tribe are used to doing, and I assume it is what they would continue to do when he is gone. And if that isn't the case, then that means that Jake was using the Na'vi to wage his own personal war against the humans, which means that he was responsible all along for them being in any kind of danger, and there is no reason to expect that the humans will stop targeting his tribe just because he is gone. I don't think that James Cameron gave this any thought because he was far more interested in what happens next. And what happens next is essentially exactly what happened before with the Na'vi, in that Jake gets himself involved with a new tribe, this time a sea-based tribe, and learns spiritual water stuff, hence the way of water. So, after leaving his tribe, Jake rocks up at a new tribe and says, please help us. Honestly, you won't have any problems if you just let us stay with you. And somehow he doesn't realize that all he is doing is changing the people that he is endangering from the forest people to these sea people. Did he think that Quaritch would just give up after what happened to him? It was just laughably silly. If he had decided to stay away from everyone for a while and really disappear, it would have been a decent strategy. But instead, he just put other uninvolved people in danger, when supposedly that was what he was trying to avoid in the first place. But anyway, his family adapts to their new setting, which is something children are very good at, and at this point the focus of the movie moves to the children, as they try to fit in with their new tribe. More specifically, we concentrate on Jake's second son, whose name is, well honestly I didn't really keep up with the names except for the youngest daughter Took, who for some reason seems to be named quite often. So Jake's family members are taught the way of water, which as far as I can tell means how to hold your breath underwater and swim, which seems logical enough if you're going to live by the sea. Oh, and there's also another underwater tree of souls, so yep, that's there. And it means the same as it did in the first movie, though this time instead of a weeping willow it looks like a seaweed tree? I'm not sure if that exists. But then the son of the new tribe's leader tricks second son into going into an area of the sea where a huge predator is known to live, and the second son has a scary adventure with a very hungry looking fish. But luckily for him, there is a huge outcast whale creature living there who saves him, and they become good friends. He returns many times to hang out with this whale type creature that we later learn is of a very intelligent species called the Tulkan. This particular one is known as the Outcast because it once attempted to fight the humans after they killed its mother. Okay, a small bit of backstory here so that you don't sit there thinking, why are the humans killing whale things? As ever in these Avatar movies, it is about depicting humans as resource-devouring, evil creatures that want to destroy everything in search of things that benefit them with no thought of the future of the world. Well, this part of the story is a play on why humans hunted the white whale or sperm whale. For those not familiar with whales, it's the one from Moby Dick. While in the past, humans hunted sperm whales because inside sperm whale's head is a huge amount of a waxy, oily substance called spermaceti, which burns very pure, and which is also great for use in cosmetics. Many a fortune was made on a 3-year trip, killing as many of them as would fill a ship with barrels of spermaceti. Well, in the future, the humans are at it again, on Pandora, killing the Tulkhan, which is extremely intelligent, but in whose brains is a substance which can completely halt aging in humans. And so, obviously, people want it. How they discovered it is a question whose answer is meaningless, since all we really need to say is, humans bad. So, back to the story. It's not hard to find. Ninja's not just of the what was I saying? Oh yes, well, as you would expect, because Quaritch is the bad guy, he teams up with the extra bad human guys hunting whales. At this point, Sigourney Weaver's child connects herself to the soul seaweed tree and has a vision of her mother, who she asks why she seems to be extra connected to Pandora, and also who her father is. Then she has some sort of fit, and Jake, in his wisdom, because he doesn't want to risk losing his family, which is the point of all this endangering the lives of people he has only just met instead of the people he had known for a while, decides to call in a gunship with his scientist, doctory, human-y type friends from the first movie. And strangely enough, the evil, bad, horrible humans track this rogue ship. So Quaritch finds out where they are. So, well done Jake, your awesome intellect does it again. Sigourney Weaver's daughter recovers thanks to the wife of the Sea Tribe's chief, and all seems well for about 30 seconds, when the shit hits the fan because the Sea Navi find out that the humans have been killing the Tulkhan whale things, and so decide to go to war to defend them. And so the scene is set for the final battle between the ever-evil humans and the human avatar things and the Sea Navi. It all kicks off when Quaritch manages to catch Jake's children, again. The outcast Tulkhan whale thing then attacks the main human ship, and then it is open warfare, which goes very badly for the humans because apparently miniguns on full auto firing the future equivalent of 6,000 rounds a minute are no match for a tall guy with a spear flying on a pterodactyl, or whatever those things are. I can see how we lose in close combat, but honestly, how the hell do they even get close enough to use the spears? And why is it that the future mounted guns don't have lock-on or auto-aim? We have those things now, for goodness sakes. Sometimes you really do have to stop and take a breath, and tell yourself, it's not real, it doesn't have to make sense, just let it go. So Jake manages to get his family back and Quaritch drowns, but the victory is not without loss as Jake's oldest son dies from an injury after the fight, which was actually a pretty sad moment. Oh, and just as you're about to say, well I guess that's it, I mean, who's the bad guy without Quaritch? Well, allay your fears because during the final scenes, Spider, Quaritch's son, happens to come across Quaritch while he is swimming around looking for everyone else, and in a moment of sonly feelings, saves him from drowning before bogging off back to Jake and the others. What does this mean for the future, and for the future of Jake and the Navi? Well, it means that the big bad guy is back, and they will have a reason for the next action movie, dressed up as though it has some sort of ecological message. If only someone had stopped and said, "We gotta stop polluting the oceans, dude," it would have had some relevance. I don't know why I did that in my Bill and Ted voice, but it just seemed fitting. So now it's all over. What next for James Cameron and Pandora? I feel a bit of a pattern here, and I'm expecting Avatar: The Secrets of Sand to be incoming in the next year or so. In it, we'll see Jake become worried that his family is in danger, and so will run away to a remote desert, where a bunch of tall Bedouins will teach him the secrets of wearing water-preserving suits, and about a spiritual drug made from the excretions of giant sandworms, while learning the beauty of dunes and of dune creatures. Then the evil humans will appear to harvest the valuable drug known as, spice? Or something like that. To be fair though, I did quite enjoy this movie, and it was a fairly decent sci-fi action movie, but I wouldn't watch it again because I have better uses for 3 hours of my life. I think if James Cameron does make a director's cut, he should actually make some cuts and get it down to under 2 hours, which would make it eminently more watchable. This has been Movie Suck thinking that this explains why he didn't give a shit about Terminator Dark Fate. He is too busy trying to make the Lord of the Big Blue Space Aliens. Signing out. Leave a like, share, subscribe, and I will catch you guys on the flip side.
I'm blind! No!